Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Heather Frierson, and I'm your host of the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have Kristina Swift, founder of Serendipity. And today she's going to be talking about her business journey, the challenges, best practices, and really just share a sneak peek of what it's like to own and operate a business. So if this is your first time to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe so that you can get a notification every time a new show drops, just like this one. Well, Kristina, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, Heather, I'm thrilled to be here and thanks so much for asking me.
Of course. Well, I can't wait to dive in because you have a great story. So, why don't you just set the stage for our audience and share a little bit of a background about who you are and your business?
Absolutely. Well, I'm Kristina Swift, like Heather said. I started my career a long time ago, not to date myself, but supporting entrepreneurs with the company who gave women the very first side gig before they had the right to vote, and that was Avon. Started out
Oh, I
in a
love it.
entry-level corporate sales job, and over the course of 18 years, climbed that proverbial corporate ladder, had almost every job you could have in the sales organization until I became head of sales. And it was an amazing experience to get a front row seat to what, entrepreneurship was all about by just training, developing, supporting, recruiting them.
Mhm.
And then from there, I went on to work for some amazing companies and people, Jessica Heron at Stella and Dot, who I think made
Uh-huh, yeah.
entrepreneurship really cool.
Yes.
And I got to be head of sales at Isogenics, huge wellness company.
Mhm.
And again, supporting rock star entrepreneurs on their journey. And just like a lot of people who finally have a defining moment, I had mine
Mhm.
where I had a not so great experience
Mhm.
with a company. And it forced me to really think about, how I wanted to spend my time, who I wanted to spend it with, and what were my strengths that I could really capitalize on. And so it was that bad experience that kind of catapulted me into entrepreneurship. And I have always loved being a bit of a talent scout and,
Mhm.
really identifying people that could maybe do more than they thought they were capable of. So I launched a recruiting
Mhm.
matching amazing candidates with amazing companies. And it's been
Wow.
6 years now, and it's just been an incredible experience.
That is a cool story. First of all, I love Skin So Soft, Avon.
Yeah. Yeah,
And who doesn't love Stella and Dot? So
I
very
know.
cool background you have
Yeah,
of just beauty and fashion.
I
So
know.
with that,
So much fun.
so much fun. I love it. So with that background, how did recruiting that kind of area, of course you talked about your strengths, but how did you settle on recruiting?
Well, when I decided I wanted to work for myself and I wanted to be responsible for my own destiny, I thought about what I really was good at, but not just that, what I really enjoyed doing
Hmm.
for the next chapter. And one of the things I loved about all the jobs I had was interview, selection, and hiring people. And then secondarily, I loved taking really talented people and helping them advance their career, helping them make more money, have better titles. And so a lot of recruiters used to reach out to me for referrals because they
Mm.
knew that I knew good talent. And I think last year before I launched my business, I referred 7 or 8 people to one recruiter. And she made 20% of their annual salary, each one
Yeah.
of these people. And so I knew like I was onto something. And so I just said, this is it. It's what I love doing. It's lucrative. I could replace my corporate income. And I dove right in. And luckily, I had such great relationships with a lot of my old
Mhm.
bosses who were running companies and started to
Yeah.
network back in with them. And I got hired. And a lot of them are still my regular clients to this day.
I love that so much. And I think it's such a testament to like just understanding your gifts and talents, like you talked about, and your strengths,
Yeah.
and knowing how to use them in a way that's beneficial to everyone, including yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It's a job where I really help a lot of people. I have a small part in helping them with their career trajectory. So it feels really good, but yet, I've figured out a way to monetize what I love doing.
Yeah. So it's been 6 years, did you say, since you've
Yeah.
been doing that? And how do you see in the 6 years that you've been owning your own business, what are the different challenges you have from owning the business versus being in a corporate setting like you were?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I experienced and what most people experience when they take the plunge is the necessity of always prospecting and hustling. I mean, some people
Mhm.
don't like the word hustle. I personally love the word hustle. I love what that stands for because I don't see it as a negative word. I see it as you constantly moving towards your goals. You know, you're
Mm.
constantly figuring out how to grow, how to expand. And so I think some people, though, when they jump in, think they only have to do it at the beginning and then it's over, but it never stops. You have to do that
Mhm.
all the time. You know, the economy was a little slow this year. Hiring was slow. So I had to figure out how to like network with people in different industries so that I can,
Mm.
keep my searches going. So even 5 or 6 years in, I'm constantly networking with people, reaching out to people, making new connections so that my business keeps growing even through difficult times.
Yeah. It's important to know how to pivot, right?
Yes,
Like you said,
absolutely.
yeah, a lot of people had to do that last year.
Oh my gosh, for sure. In every vertical, people were having
Mhm.
to figure out and like develop new skills, to meet the needs of, what companies were looking for now versus 5 years ago.
So I love the idea of you diving in 6 years ago after years of corporate. And I know that so many people struggle with that decision. And you
Mhm.
talked about almost coming to that point of where you had to make a decision. What would you say to entrepreneurs and our audience that's listening right now about how to determine the when and the
Mhm.
how of that transition?
Yeah, I think there's probably like an entrepreneur inside of all of us that's dying to get out. And I think my advice would be I should have done it sooner, to be honest.
Mm,
I think I was afraid because you just get used to the steady paycheck, the regularity and the
yeah.
consistency, and you sort of forget to dream and you lose
Mm,
sight of what you're capable of. Because you're kind of in this box or in this one single lane. And so
mm,
advice would be like, even if you're not ready to jump in right now, start thinking about what are you passionate about? What do you love to do? What makes you happy in your work? What is that one or two skill sets or things that you know
yeah.
you're good at that you would love to do? And start formulating a plan. Start researching, investigating, talking to people who are already doing it. Start doing that while you have your job and start
Mm,
taking steps towards your vision. And then you will wake up one day and you'll know when it's right. There'll be a
yeah.
defining moment of your own
Hmm.
that happens with your family, with work, with something, and you'll have done all the pre-work and you'll be ready to go. So it's not something I would suggest people jump into without having a really solid plan.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Yeah.
So walk us through a typical day of serendipity and what the day of an entrepreneur looks like.
Well, I'm lucky right now. It looks a little different than it did 5 years ago because 5 years ago it was all about meeting people,
Mm,
networking, developing a really big global network of
mm,
it. So my days were spent literally from the time I got up to the time into the evening on different time zones, meeting with people from sales, marketing, finance,
mm,
operations, and really developing that really big network so that when a company that reaches out and says, listen, I'm trying to hire this person, I already have candidates on deck. I've already got a great
mm.
roster. So I really spent the first 2 years just building, building, building. And then it's about constantly reaching out to different businesses that I'm not doing business with, introducing
Oh,
myself, attending industry events when I can, getting referrals from some of my really great clients that I can use and testimonials. I think having a good brand, you know,
mm,
to build credibility, a good website that's easy to navigate, A good presence on LinkedIn. I think whatever business
Mhm.
you're in, you need to really build your presence on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
the number of people you're following, who's following you, posting content, adding value.
Mhm.
Those are all things that help you build your business. And so
It's
I do all of those things all the time.
yeah. That it's a lot of hats to wear as an entrepreneur, isn't it?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. It's not for the faint of heart. You really do have to be willing to learn new skills,
Mhm.
and learn like how are you going to differentiate yourself? What does that look like? How are you going to be different from other people? Do you have those skills that
Mhm.
stand out, versus other people in your space? You always have to find a way to stand out.
It's true. So when you talk about wearing all the hats and the different things you have to do, how do you balance that? Do you have a team or how does all that work?
I do have freelance recruiters that
Mm.
I like right now. I'm juggling about seven different searches. It's busy because it's the end of the year
Mm.
and everybody's trying to get their people lined out for the new year. So I have a couple of freelance recruiters that when I get really busy, I bring them on board to help. Um,
Mhm.
that works for me because I hate to overcommit to somebody and then we're not busy enough. So I
Yeah.
could go luckily, I'm never not recruiting. Like, I've never been in a space in the last 6 years where I haven't had a search. It just depends how many I'm juggling at the same
Yeah.
time. But I'm a really good taskmaster. I'm really disciplined. I still have an old-fashioned planner with a to-do list for every day. I cannot lose it. And
I do
just,
too, by the way.
yeah, I can't live without it.
I
And
have
just
to have paper no matter what.
Yeah, and I mean, just prioritizing what's important and doing that
Mm.
first. And sometimes the things that are most important are not the things we love to do, like the prospecting, the connecting,
Mm.
that kind of stuff. People avoid doing it, but it's the lifeblood of growing a business, right? So
Yeah.
try to be very disciplined about the things that matter most every day.
Yeah. What kind of freedom or lifestyle has owning your own business brought you? And why is
My
it
gosh,
important?
total game changer. I mean, in the positions I had, I was in, senior
Hmm.
executive positions in an office, 5 days a week, traveling all the time on
Mm.
weekends, during the week. I didn't have a lot of control. And in our space specifically, it was 24/7. It was like, I mean, if I wasn't in the office, it was on my phone, texting. It was, my kiddo could tell you a ton of stories about me
Mm.
at the movie theater with my phone and, all the
Oh, yeah.
things. So it's been really freeing because I can work from anywhere. I mean, I have Wi-Fi, I can work. And so, I still am I'm actually more disciplined about taking vacation and trying to actually be off. But if
Mm.
I needed to jump on a call, I will. But being able to work anywhere is
Mhm.
just great. And if I like right now, my mom is here from Canada and,
Aw,
so I can take lots of time off with her and still work from my phone anywhere. So it's been really freeing. I'm very
yeah,
grateful.
I love that. I
Yeah.
want to dive in a little bit more to serendipity. And you mentioned before off camera that you have a second business that you're building if you want to touch on it. But when it comes to serendipity, tell us about the vision and the mission behind it and what your ideal client looks like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the mission is really that connection between
Mhm.
amazing candidates that are trying to find the perfect match in a company. And it's not just the role and the responsibilities of a job, but it's also a culture fit. And, different companies look for different
Mm.
things, different candidates look for different types of companies. So the mission is really marrying the two together to make a perfect match. And I know I've done my job when I never have to replace candidates. And I think in 6 years, I've only
Mm.
ever had to replace one.
Wow,
Um,
congratulations. That's
yeah,
amazing.
but it is like really taking the time to get to know that person and really understanding how does this job work, not just for their career, but for their family, for their, home
Hmm.
life and work balance. And then for the company, does this person really have all the skills for the
Yeah.
job? It takes time to find that perfect match, but it's so fulfilling when it happens, because the
Mm.
companies keep in touch with me and tell me how amazing the person's doing. And then the person is telling me like,
Yeah.
it was a life-changing, amazing decision to go and make the change. So that's the mission, is really marrying
Mhm.
together,
Yeah.
helping people. I mean, I've always been someone who loves to help people, especially women, navigate, the corporate environment. I have
Mhm.
a ton of experience in it. So I do a lot of coaching along the way too, for a lot of, younger women who are,
Yeah.
trying to move up and advance their career. So it's something I really love doing.
What do you find is the number one maybe challenge for younger women like you're talking about in the corporate environment?
You know, I think younger people in general are really impatient. Um,
Mm.
I mean, I remember when I had to move up, like every new job that I got, it took me a long time to get promoted. And I had to really prove myself. I had to,
Mhm.
have a ton of results to justify a promotion. It was hard, and
Mhm.
now I feel like younger people are not as patient. They want it all yesterday. And the challenge with that is when you get promoted before you have the experience for that job, it sets you up to fail. And trying
Mm.
to tell people, like, settle down, stay in a job for at least 2 to 3 years and get that experience, get experience not just in a position, but working collaboratively with other departments, leading people.
Mm.
You need the years of experience to really prepare you for that next step. And I think
Yeah.
the biggest challenges I see now are just people are so impatient. And I would love to see them just kind of settle and get back into having a few years at each job instead of job hopping.
Yeah. Do you see that changing a little bit?
I think it's going to now because so many companies are having everybody back in the office. And so
Mm.
I think that is going to slow things down. Even hiring processes compared to COVID have slowed down. I mean, before it was like, oh my gosh, they'd interview somebody and move to offer in like 2 days. And now it's like a few weeks
Mm.
before we get there. So I think
Wow.
naturally that's happening.
So when you're coaching anyone or looking for prospects, what are some things, even for those listening, just to set them up for success? What are some things that we should do as a recruitee
Yeah.
to get ready to be successful or be a successful recruit, if you will?
It's a few things. I mean, first of all, just the things that you would take for granted that people know, like look good on camera. Most of the interviews are happening on camera
Mm.
still, and then like maybe a final fly-in for some position
Mm.
or in the office interview.
Mhm.
But like I mean, you laugh about that, but I had somebody who was a chief financial officer who showed up to his interview with a baseball hat on. This is like a senior executive position. I didn't think I had to tell him that, but it was a
Wow.
lesson for me that I coach every candidate on. It
Mm.
starts with how you show up, what you look like, that you've made an effort, that you don't have a sweatshirt on. It's a big job
Mhm.
interview. I think the other thing I always try to prepare people with is a lot of examples of the impact they've made in their prior positions. And that is in terms of results and people. So in every, when you get interview questions, don't talk in generalities. Give examples,
Mm.
be specific. What value
Wow.
did you add in your time there? How was the company better because you were there? How do you articulate that? I think people have a tendency to have canned answers, not on purpose, but it just happens.
Mhm.
But the more specific you can be about what you've accomplished and contributed, the better the interview will go.
Yeah. That is such good advice. And I chuckle with the first because I've experienced the same thing and seeing people show up. I always talk about showing up well,
Yes.
of showing up like it's a casual coffee date.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's really, really great advice. And do you see people getting that more? Do you see those light bulbs going off as you're coaching them? Or is it more you're having to fight through that?
It's funny, people, they're like, some love the feedback, love the coaching, and are thankful for it. Some get offended by it.
Mm.
And so those people that get offended by it usually don't do well in the interview process. I mean, if you're not willing to take feedback and be coachable, I still get feedback and I'm coachable now, with some
Right.
of my clients. If you're not open to that, I don't know how you continue to grow.
I think that's such great advice.
Yeah.
All right. We teased it a little bit about how you have a second company that you're about to launch. Can you share about that?
Absolutely. I am so excited to share it. So after having, a few years of success matchmaking people with their dream job, it's been kind of rattling around in my head for a couple of years of expanding that mission into helping people find love.
Love it.
I went through a horrible divorce about 10 years ago when I moved to Arizona, and I had 50 first dates before I met my match. And we've been together for 7 years and just got married last October. And
Congratulations.
you, but it was not an easy journey. And my son experienced the same thing. He's 27. I have lots of single friends, guys and girls who have just like, they're starting to give up because
Mm-hmm.
the online dating experience has become so icky. So we are launching a business. I have two partners called Like Love, and we're getting rid of the algorithms, getting rid of that swipe culture, and
Mm.
are launching a matchmaking service that really gives you and delivers to you personalized matches based on what you are looking for. And also, we are curating matchmaking socials every month, and we hand invite 10 guys, 10 girls that are looking for the same thing, around the same age demographic, same interests, and bringing them together in a fun, vibrant setting for just like a little hour and a half social. We're going to take the awkward out of it. We have like
Yeah.
little conversation cards with fun questions,
Oh my
not boring
goodness.
ones. And so we're really just bringing an experience that's more organic and authentic
Mm-hmm.
and letting people connect in person and seeing if there's a spark
Yeah.
instead of just swiping.
Yeah.
And then you're
No
texting
good.
for 3 days that you think, oh my God, this is the guy. And then you meet in person and you're like, oh my God, I've just wasted 3 days. No
Mm.
attraction, not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So we're excited to do something different here in Phoenix.
That's amazing. I'm married, so I don't need this. I just want to make that before I start asking questions. But I have a couple of really good friends that are so frustrated with the dating scene and the whole well, exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Texting and then meeting, being like, no, that's not it. So I have to ask for them since I am in Texas. Can they come to you in Arizona if they live out of state?
I mean, they could if they want to meet somebody here. I mean, our
Okay.
plan is actually, you'll be happy to hear this. Our plan is Phoenix and Scottsdale this year, probably next year, Nashville. And then our third city that we are thinking about is Austin, Texas. Um,
No way.
yes, we think they're three great cities to start, but we're super excited.
I think I'm like gonna follow up with you all the time for my friends to say,
Yeah.
come to Austin, come to Austin. So
Yes.
I love that so much. And so tell me a little bit, you told me about the experience, how the socials, but how do people actually get invited?
So actually, we're opening membership this weekend. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it's this weekend, and you apply. And the reason that you apply is because we really value our members' safety, and we want to
Hmm.
make sure that every person that applies has social accounts. We can vet them out in all the ways possible to make
Yep.
sure each person is who they say they are. Because, one of the big challenges with online dating is the catfishing, the married people, the people who
Mm.
are not who they say they are, the fake profiles. There's so much of that now that
Wow.
we want to make sure we take our time. And we really want to create a community of people that come together in these social events. And even though you're looking for that one person you love, we want you to meet a whole bunch of people you like. And
Mm.
girls can come and meet other single girls that they can like
Yeah.
go out with or go hiking or do brunch with or whatever. And like our community is going to be what makes us really special. And so you have to apply to be accepted. You go through the vetting process, and then once you're in, we start curating matches that we deliver to you
Mm.
each week and connect you with, and then we invite you to come to a social where you will meet in person some of your matches. And
Wow.
and let
So
the
you don't
magic.
have to go on the scary first date. You meet at the social.
And we have a guided experience. So you're not going to show up and like speed dating. It's not like that. It's
Mhm.
much cooler. We've got the question, these cute conversation cards, and you mingle around the room. Everybody's on their feet. It's fun. It's cool. And we're taking the awkward out of it.
Yeah. So no tech, just real community and relationship.
Yes,
Imagine
I know. I
like
know.
dating coming back. I think for those of us that
Yeah.
dated before tech, like we've seen the decline in conversation in the younger generation for sure.
Oh my gosh. And you know what? We were just talking about coaching people, for a
Mhm.
career and how they show up to an interview. This is the same thing. I mean, people that are younger have been behind screens so long, they don't know how to start conversations. They don't know how to flirt. They don't know, they don't even know where to begin. And so
Mhm.
we're doing coaching. Coaching is actually part of our
Wow.
process as well. So helping people and kind of being their wingman on their journey.
I
I
love
love.
that.
Yeah.
Their wingman. I love that. And I love how the two companies are very similar, that you're matching people no matter what. And so
Yeah.
it's almost as if every time you meet someone, your wheels are turning.
It is that way all the time. And since I decided to do this, I'm constantly talking to people everywhere I go. I've met so many more single people, and we have a focus group as well that we get a lot of feedback and insight from about the challenges, what they like,
Mhm.
what they don't like, and all that stuff. But I mean, it was on the Today Show this morning. They had a whole segment
Oh, I
on,
thought you were. I was like, you were?
that's my dream to be on the Today Show. Let me
Yes,
put it out
me
there.
too. Well, Hoda's about to leave, so I think
I
we gotta get.
know. But her and Jenna were featuring a matchmaker today who,
Oh, okay.
same thing. She's like, everybody hates online dating and nobody
Mm,
wants to do it anymore. So I think it's an idea that's time has come.
yeah.
And, when you think about it, the two biggest decisions in your life is how you spend
Mm,
your career and who you spend your life with. So I get to have a little
wow.
part in both.
How does that make you feel when you've helped
Amazing.
someone? Yeah.
Amazing. Yes. And I have set people up before and had some success. And you know what it is I found my perfect person, in my 40s, and it was so challenging, but I see these women and men who have so much going for them and they're alone. And it drives me
Mm,
crazy. It's like I can't let it happen. I have to do
yeah.
something about it.
I think that's great. I mean, all the way around, I think listeners are writing down right now how they can get in touch with you and join that membership or be recruited. So I think it's fabulous. So when you
No.
think about the future of even, let's start with serendipity. Where do you see that going in the next, say, 10 years?
Yeah, I think I've had growth, year after year after year. And I foresee that continuing. And I do think the job market is going to bounce back in
Mm,
2025. I think companies are going to start hiring again. I've already noticed it in the last kind of 60 days. So I think we're going to see a shift back to kind of the floodgates opening a little bit more. It's been really
mm-hmm.
people the last 2 years. So I do think there's going to be a shift, and I think that I can look forward to growth. I joined also this really cool recruiting group, which we're all freelance recruiters, but from different verticals. So we're kind of learning about each other's spaces.
Okay.
I just closed a tech search with them
That's
last
awesome.
week. Yeah. So again, always looking to grow and expand
Yeah.
and find new ways.
Where do you see yourself as CEO and business owner in the next 10 years? Do you see yourself constantly creating new things or and being in the same seat? How does that look?
I mean, I think Serendipity Executive Search and Like Love are going to keep me really, really busy. So I think those are going to be my two babies that I focus on and really throw all my energy into.
Mhm.
And just like you said, there's so much alignment in both
Mm.
that I think I'll find my fulfillment focused there and really, really growing those businesses.
I would say you probably never have a boring day.
No, never. I mean, there's always something happening. That's for sure. I have lots of stories to tell.
Yeah, for sure. Well, before we get into our rapid fire fun questions, what do you want to share with our audience, whether it's an entrepreneurial tip or anything about your business that maybe we haven't covered yet?
I think like just a tip would be, and I mentioned it earlier, is, we get so caught up in life, just, the kids and the husband and family and just looking after everybody but ourselves, that we really do lose sight of our
Mhm.
own dreams, as we grow
Mhm.
up. And I would just always, I regret not tapping into that a little bit sooner. So I would just encourage everybody, even if you're not ready this second, start thinking about what really does make you happy, what really gets you up
Mm.
in the morning, and how do you monetize that? Honestly,
Mm.
it'll be the best decision you've ever made.
Yeah, I love that so much. What does make you happy and how do you monetize it?
Yeah.
Well, you figured that out for sure.
Yeah. Life is good.
It is. Oh, good. All right, well, let's get into some fun rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, what do you think is the key to success for you?
I think the key to success for me is constantly being open to innovation and new ways of doing things. Yeah.
Mm, that's really good. Constantly being open to innovation.
Mhm.
That's great. What would be your advice to other business owners?
Um, kind of the same thing is, I think
Hmm.
the minute that you get too comfortable and complacent, somebody's going to do it better than you.
Mm,
And so surround yourself with people who have different strengths than you do, who are better at things than you are, and they will help keep you on track for constantly evolving your business model.
it's really good. All right, book or podcast. What are you reading or listening to right now?
I just started a book because of the new company called Humble Hungry Hustle.
Hmm.
And it's really, really great because I am a little more senior in my career. It's kind of teaching me at this level, how to really foster healthy collaborative relationships with my two partners. There's three of us working
Mhm.
together. I'm usually large and in charge. So it's like giving that power up and, working the three of us and having a super healthy, amazing, working relationship. That's one of the things. Setting new standards for myself. There's a lot about it in this book.
Mm,
The hustle, which I really feel like is my superpower, but always finding new ways to grow. Just you
yeah.
can never get enough of that. And so there's a lot about that. And then the other part of the book is kind of humility, being humble. And it does go to that, always being open to listening to other people, hearing new ways of
Mhm.
doing things that aren't maybe what you're doing right now. New perspective, different way of thinking. Just, as you get older, you tend to be more closed-minded. So
Yeah,
finding a way to constantly be open.
I love that so much. I'm gonna have to look that book up. Who's it by?
Brad Lomenick, and he's done
Brad.
a lot of great work with some amazing leaders too.
Mm. Okay, Humble, Hungry, Hustle. Sounds wonderful. All right, this is a little bit of a fun question that I like to ask. If you had a little bit of magic dust and could sprinkle it in one area of your business, where would you sprinkle it?
I would definitely sprinkle it on the like love side of
Mm,
my company. Serendipity is really solid and kind of thriving. And I think I definitely need some magic. We're a startup, we're a new
yeah,
business. And I think really, finding our way and making sure
yeah,
that we stay true to our mission and don't get sidetracked. I think we've got a really innovative business model that is going to create so many successful love stories. And I think there's no
yeah,
greater.
yeah. I think that's great. Well, I think you're on the right track for sure. And I'm excited to see where it all goes. And so before we get to the last question of the day, share with everybody how they can get in touch with you, follow you, become a member, all the things.
All the things. Serendipity Executive Search, best way to connect with me is on LinkedIn, or you can email me at christina.serendipity@gmail.com. You can follow Like Love at Like Love AZ on Instagram. We're also on LinkedIn. We're also on Facebook. And we will be launching our own Like Love podcast as well.
Oh, fun. Are you gonna be
Giving you
sharing
lots of
date?
dating tips, stories. We're going to have fun. We're going to follow all the dating shows too, because everybody gets really obsessed with those. So we're going to have some fun talking about those couples. And yeah,
Yeah.
so we will be everywhere.
I can't wait to watch. I for sure. I have a daughter who's not quite ready to date. She's still young, but already have those conversations about what to look for, making
Yeah.
wise decisions, and you know, really teaching her how to communicate in general. To be honest.
Tell her to make her list early. What is she
Yes.
really, and write it down. I mean, that's
I.
my son is 27, and I have to say, he went through as hard of a time as I did, even at his age, dating
Mhm.
and all kinds of craziness. But he wrote what he was looking for down.
Mhm.
And oh my goodness, I was a little worried it was not realistic, but he found his person. And
Wow.
she is everything on that list and then some.
It's amazing. I had
Yeah,
my list too, and I don't hear that very often these days to write down what you want because sometimes you know all the things you don't want from bad
yeah,
experiences, but you
yeah.
don't know what you do want. Some with same thing with the job, right?
Yeah, same thing. And if you come from a place of what you don't want, it's negative. You know what I
Mm,
mean? But if you come from a place of all the things you're looking for, you attract that.
that's so true. All right, final question of the day. What is most inspiring you today?
I think just what is really inspiring me today is this thought that I'm actually working in my strengths. It took me
Mm,
a lot of years to get there, but I'm finally in a place where I am leveraging all my strengths and in a way that is adding a lot of value and helping change people's lives.
yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Isn't that the goal for us all to finally
Yeah.
realize we're doing it?
Yes, exactly. That we love what we're doing, that it makes us happy.
Mhm.
Nothing's perfect, obviously, but
Right.
if you can really hone in on your strengths and make a living doing what makes you happy, there's nothing better.
So good. Well, I've so enjoyed this conversation, and I know that all of our listeners did too. So I just want to encourage everyone that's listening or watching to save this show because one day you might need a job and one day you might need a date. But
There you
for most
go.
most importantly, Christina had a lot of great nuggets of wisdom and so wise and so fun, I can tell. So don't forget to like and subscribe also so you don't miss a conversation that drops just like this one. And thank you to everyone that joined us, but especially you, Christina. I really appreciate that you were here today and sharing your story.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks so much for having me. It was so much fun.
Bye bye.